to 7 deadly slides. The visual components of your presentation contribute massively to the message that your audience receives. This visual component consists mostly of your body language and your slideshow. Many students compromise their presentation with poor slideshows. Experience has shown that there are 7 types of slides that create most problems for students. We will be looking at these 7 deadly slides and how you can fix them so your presentation will get the attention and assessment mark that it deserves. Deadly slide number 1, the generic design slide. This design could be from anywhere and looks like you have just used the first suggested design idea from PowerPoint. This design is generic with a 2-tone background that means nothing. The dot patterns on the aqua background could be trying to replicate Indigenous designs, but the contrast is so subtle it won't even be noticed by the audience. The headline of story adds nothing, and the text is too dense. The only person who is likely to read it is the presenter, and we all know how boring it is to read to an audience. Research has shown that audiences perceive colors and shapes before anything else. These can create connections in the audience mind before they are even consciously aware of it. Look at how the color and shape or font on the left is instantly recognizable. So you should consciously choose the colors and shapes, images and fonts that you will use in your slides. Simply picking up a color from the image and using it for your text will create design and color congruity. The generic design slide could be turned into 3 or more slides which align with the key points of the story. Using an Australian landscape as a background provides a link from one slide to the next. Using earth-coloured tonings creates a theme that aligns with the Indigenous content. Continuing the same background with slightly darker shades adds continuity. You would use this slide for the part of the story where Darama threw the stick back, and this became the boomerang. You would use this slide for the part of the story where Darama put him in the moon. Removing the background from the flower image gives the Waratah more of a heart shape to match the story. You would use this slide for the part of the story where Tunku left her heart, and that became the Waratah. Alternatively, you could use a clearly linked graphic or image with just the main words. Make the background color for the text match the image. You could add some words in all capitals for emphasis. Or you could fill the screen with the image. You'll need a high resolution image and put the words in front. Here we are using a semi-transparent background behind the words for clarity. Be sure that your image has sufficient resolution for the size that you want to project. Pixelated images are death. 2 parts of an audience's mind that need to be involved as they are listening to and watching you are the neocortex and the limbic brains. The neocortex is influenced by words, figures, and data. The other, the limbic brain, can only process images, shapes, and emotions. To create a great slide, both sides of the brain need to be satisfied. Most slides are too complex. To avoid this, use the billboard rule. Try to make your slide like a billboard on the highway. For a billboard to work, highway users have to get a memorable message in just a few seconds. If you force them to spend time reading, then they won't be listening to you. Be frugal with your words. 5 or less words per slide is best. If a word can be omitted, leave it out. Deadly slide number 2, the speech note slide. The fundamental problem is that the speaker is using this slide as speech notes. Slides are designed for the audience, so using them as speech notes will always create a really boring slide. This is often compounded by the speaker turning their back to the audience as they try to read their speech notes off the screen. This slide has a pointless graphic that means nothing. The heading is far too wordy. The text has many more words than the audience will be able to read. and there is poor contrast between the text and the background. Basically, remember, never use your slides as speech notes. Fix this slide by using a relevant image and a strong contrast. Use a less wordy heading. Use a key phrase that summarizes your point. Use the notes section for your speech notes and use presenter view when delivering, and this will give you the notes on your laptop screen. You could use headings with icons that bring them in as you mention them, and use a monochrome version of the image from a previous slide for continuity. Deadly slide number 3, the pick your own point slide. Sometimes lists of points are needed, but their use requires care or it will be distracting. Remember to use headings, not full sentences. And where's the image in this slide? It can only ever satisfy half their brain. The biggest distraction risk is that putting up all your points at once makes them read ahead and find the one that they are interested in. Always remember the bullet point rule. Never let them read ahead. It's very easy to do with the animations. So with bullet points, bring in your points one at a time. Previous points are grayed out as a reminder and your current point is highlighted. Deadly slide number 4, the eye test slide. Using brand logos cleverly introduces instantly recognizable shapes. The cloud points are good, but they must be brought in one at a time so as not to be distracting. But the small text ruins an otherwise excellent slide, as many audience members will try to read it and get frustrated. Any words on the screen must be able to be read. Stick to minimum sizes when using text. Deadly slide number 5, the complex collage slide. I thought I'd just throw anything that's relevant into this particular slide. This slide can be fixed by creating design continuity with similar text and tones and making images the same size. You could use a sans serif font, which is always better for headings. And you can mirror the name with the branding shape. If an audience doesn't know where to look, they will become confused and distracted. A slide should have only one point of focus. If you have more than one point, add more slides. You can use color to direct their attention. While color can enliven a slide, random color use will likely be confusing. Using spot color has much more impact. This graph, based on research by Dr. Alan Pavio, is being used to make just one point, that after 1 year, images have a much higher recall level than words. This graph could do with some serious decluttering. The grid lines are unnecessary. The labels are too messy. And the legends require them to look in 2 places to be able to see what it refers to. This looks much cleaner and makes the point more clearly. Deadly slide number 6, the lazy cut and paste slide. Slides like this have been quickly put together with an image and some words. The text is just cut straight from the assignment, even still with the bullet point. The image has been quickly cut from somewhere on the internet and just copied in. And the generic background adds nothing and just makes the text harder to read. It can easily be made to look much better with just 2 minutes of effort. Use the same background as the image to create a more unified look. Turn the image around. It generally looks better if your character looks towards the middle of the slide. And sharpen the text and add some color. Here, red is used to match Bart's shirt in the image. And deadly slide number 7, the thank you slide. This is the most pointless final slide ever. Saying thanks on the slide is a waste of a slide. It tells the audience nothing. and saying thanks for listening is ironic. With a slideshow like this, they certainly weren't watching. You don't have to use animations or transitions with your slides, but they do give opportunities to make some slides less static. Use these devices too much though, and it will make your slideshow distracting. Your use of animations needs to be thoughtful and purposeful. With text, you can wipe it from left to right because this is how people read. Animating parts of a graph can draw attention and add interest. If you copy one graphic from one slide to the next, using morph can make the slides seem more connected. So to summarize, here are your key points for avoiding the 7 deadly slides. Align the colors and shapes with your content. Great slides combine text and images. Use less than 10 words per slide. Your text must always be big enough to be able to be read. Use a high contrast for all text. Use headings, not full sentences. Bring in bullet points as you say them. Only have 1 point per slide. Declutter your graphics and use animations and transitions purposefully. And then you will make your slideshow perform for you.